Um, Thanks for popping along this morning. Hopefully you can hear me all right with the ambient noise going on out there. My name's Lindsay. I'm the Managing Director of Amscreen. I'm joined by Anthony Chmarny from Garmin, who I'm sure you've got lots of questions for. We've had a partnership with Garmin now for the last 18 months to 2 years, and very successfully. I'm wearing one of his watches. If we kick off, I'm here today to really talk about how advertising and online advertising, digital app marketing has changed over the last certainly sort of couple of years. And if you look at where we were 5 to 10 years ago, it certainly has changed significantly. And I think one of the reasons that tech media businesses are doing really, really well at the moment is the fact that people want to understand that you can actually touch point that media where and wherever you like, as against some traditional channels have to be planned and programmed in way in advance. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that and how technology media businesses are becoming normal. So I think the other thing that we're really going to talk about today is how it's also in a very multi-layered way, in that there is not just one type of online type of digital marketing. There are lots of different layers within it. And it's not something you should be, I suppose, unfamiliar with, but as I go through the points, and maybe something getting you to think about a little bit more. But definitely digital marketing has become ubiquitous across all platforms. So what does digital media mean in 2013? Every day we consume digital music. We've got digital movies, digital books. Even lighting systems in our house are controlled by Wi-Fi. Heating systems are now controlled through the internet, and many, many others. We're being tracked right now on the mobile. I think Anthony and I was looking around. Just as you were walking in, we counted 35 of you sitting there looking at this screen. So it's definitely a multi-screen business. We've been tracked by my Garmin watch. The list goes on. We've been tracked by keywords and tweets that are going on in the space out there. Lots and lots going on. So as I was saying, going back, it's not just about traditional online. But if we typed digital media into the Google bar, you still get online advertising, mobile advertising. Well, there's a heck of a lot more than that these days. So some of you may have seen this 5 stages here in the 4 changes of digital over the last few years. Take the first one. This was going back to the beginning, the laid-back approach, where there was no involvement. Content was pushed at you through internet, traditional TV, print newspapers, print posters. So that content was pushed to you. You had no involvement. You didn't have to get involved. It then became, and this is where the real kind of power shift came in, the move forward stage, where you actually got really, really involved. It was your choice to get involved through podcasting, web, videos, and social networks even then. And that was the real stage of empowerment, and that's where it really all began. So the third stage, and this is where it was getting exciting, this was the jump-in stage. This is where you had temporary involvement, so you could look at things like virtual worlds. So Second Life was becoming popular. Consoles through advanced gaming was popular. Gesture control for stimulus, and things such as AV exploration. And that was kind of the first stage of interactivity with, involvement with digital. And I think where we are today, in this always on the 4th stage here, you've got many, many things, and these are called layers. So we've got 5 layers here, and there's probably more. But many, many things today. We have marketeers used augmented reality. We have cloud computing. We can store all our music in a cloud these days. We can store all our files in a cloud for work. We have wearable tech. The Nike Fuel Band there on the right can actually count how many calories you're burning off as you walk around through the day, and that, certainly that is becoming very popular, certainly over the last year, and Garmin are big in that area, and Anthony will talk a little bit more about that. So things like that, all things really are connected there. So back to the question, where are we exactly today with digital marketing? Well, today, all of these examples are actually digital marketing. So it's not just this laptop that's online advertising, it's everything else. So from bus shelters to even Pepsi vending machines there, right through to an Amscreen at the point of purchase in a petrol station. All of these are examples of online advertising. And that's where I would challenge this conference to actually think broader than where we are today, rather than just online traditionally as we know it. But of course, there are many more, and some are better than others. And I'll go on to explain how we think we can add to that as well at Amscreen. So considering all of these touch points, and just to summarize, I've now hopefully clarified really here that digital is not just one media platform, it's many. I think that we would like digital media just to be called media. In 10 years' time, as we call an electric car today, in 10, 15 years' time, an electric car will just be called a car. And I think that's where we've got to jump that hurdle and just call it media. And so let's just get over ourselves there and stop saying digital all the time. It's just media, okay? So that's really the kind of challenge, that's what I'm saying on that part. However, is it becoming, like this graphic here, is it becoming a commodity? You could argue, yes, it is, and there's just too much of it. Is there enough demand to sustain it? But I think as media owners get more cleverer and cleverer with it, they can actually try and target by lots of different ways, lots of different types of layers. And I'm going to go on and talk a little bit about that too. So, as I said, that word digital is now simply synonymous with media, and it merely gets swallowed up in the whole marketing and advertising mix. You must have seen the videos for the Google glasses here. I think that that's absolutely terrific, and can't wait to actually own a pair myself. But I think that is just something that adds layers to digital layers to sort of technology today. But it's simply kind of, I said, it's kind of just swallowed up in the whole augmented life, and it's just another layer. And I think the technology already exists without this today. And just as I sort of having a look, I found something here.
Since the invention of shoes, you try them on where they're sold. And in the digital age, it stays the same. We call it virtual shoe fitting, a technology that turns regular outdoor media into virtual shoe stores. For the first time, we synchronized 3 Microsoft Kinect devices to scan your feet. We then used this data to render 3D shoes on top of it, in real time. To launch our technology, we went to the most frequented places, central stations. You start by selecting any model and size.
Okay, yeah.
To see the shoe like you're actually wearing it. Finally, we made shoe fitting social. So if you're not sure about the shoe, you can share a snapshot with your friends via Facebook. Once you've made a decision, QR codes with your model and size info lead you to the mobile checkout to get it delivered the next day. In the end, we created a new way to use outdoor media, and the fact that you can try on any shoe from the online store makes this the world's largest shoe store.
So from our friends in Straw in Central Europe there,
you got to admit that I cannot wait until you get to the point where you can actually try pants on that way. That's going to be very cool. I can't wait to see that one.
I think there is one actually.
I'm sure there must be.
Changing room media. Augmented reality is a really, really small part of all of our lives, really. I think, to be honest, if I saw that, I probably wouldn't even have the time to have a go at it. But clearly there are some people there that wanted to have a go at it. And, I think that's important for the brand. I'm probably the wrong target audience anyway for that trainer. But I think, I think that is only a very, very small part of our daily lives. Here's a really kind of unattractive looking graphic to try and describe to you what layers of digital actually mean. As said here, it actually resembles each layer. So we've got social, the people level, the personal level, information being pushed and pulled, networks, and then down to the real world. And it kind of describes how we all live our lives through these watches, through the iPads that you've got. I mean, if you probably, as an average, you probably all got 2 Wi-Fi devices each in your bags today. That just allows you to have many layers, but it's more than that. It's other things that are going on all the time. The Ministry of Defence, actually, of all people, use this to actually try and work out when is the next kind of cyber terrorism event going to happen, or the cyber event could happen. It's actually called a cyber situation analysis. When we were doing the research for this, we found this kind of like a bit of a tongue twister, but actually this exists. In fact, in the Olympics, for crowd flow, for problems getting in and out of the parks through keywords and Twitter, cyber situation analysis was used to control that. So, a quite interesting point there, and that just describes the kind of digital layers that we live and breathe today. Perhaps one of those most important digital layers would be location-based. And really, I think marketeers now and brands are very, very conscious about where they're advertising and when. And that is, could argue that's always been the case, but I think as Wi-Fi has progressed, this has become very, very important. And Anthony will talk further about this as we go on. And if you take this example here for Krispy Kreme, location to them is very, very important because they have outlets that sell Krispy Kremes and they want the people around those shops to go in and buy these donuts. So as Dwayne says here, we decided that rather than try and create behavior, we would take the behavior in layers that was already there and just help people to do it more easily. So all they're doing with this app that you can see here on the right, all they're doing is they're actually trying to recognize that you're in an area, go in and buy a donut. So very, very simple, but using technology in a very, very effective way. So it really allows brands to target there by location. Believe it or not, this is actually supposed to be Lord Sugar here. Is a Lego character. So I'm glad he's not in the room. But basically he says with us at Amscreen that 91% of national brands plan on maintaining or increasing budget for local marketing. We ad serve messages on a national level in a local way. And that's 90% of the campaigns that we run today are on that basis through ad serving through one server. So we really here with the Link Local brand for local businesses actually ad serving to the local communities. So, we're working with a lot of the regional press owners here to try and make this optimizing, to really optimize media schedules. So Outdoor is now accessing this more and more on location-based layers, and they're acting on it. So Outdoor has traditionally been harder to measure because it's a transient, passive medium. But now with screens at payment points around the country, you've got one-on-one impressions. You can actually have one-on-one impressions there. We also capture consumers through our portfolio of screens through camera technology as well. And this allows us to be able to, in the future, look at gender recognition and possibly serve ads to different types of genders. And that is actually a very, very close opportunity for us, and that we feel within the next 12 months that could happen. Also through the estate partners, the third point here that we work with, through people like BP and Shell, they recognize and they can share with us their transaction data. So we know that on a Friday lunchtime, we've got 350,000 people actively in those retail zones. So 350,000 people across the country, and we're giving a one-on-one impression to. That's pretty powerful, and I think brands are really now starting to listen and take note of this form of marketing is definitely something to look at. It definitely blurs the lines as well between online press, TV, and outdoor. We almost, as a business, as an industry here, have a demarcation. We are something new, and we are basically grabbing hold of the technology that exists today. So what do we mean by that? Here's the car, BMW. And it's just some things that we can do. Site-specific footfalls, for example, over 5,500 plus locations. Buying preferences for individual site, individual times of day, selling Coca-Cola to van drivers on a Tuesday morning. Location-specific audience by the hour, so drive time messaging on the way home. And local insight from store, which we get from the estate partners to stock product. So that really, really helps us work with the FMCG sector. So just some examples there of how we would take this to different categories within the market. But data is all very good, but if you're not going to do anything with it, it's kind of pointless having. So, we're really fortunate here at Amscreen. Lots of different data touch points, some of which I've explained already. Things like we're able to deliver live content, which we're doing with BlackBerry at the moment. We're doing social feeds, actually with BlackBerry as well. We're doing that with day part, lots of day part campaigns now, lots of that coming through. And of course, that just adds to the many, many layers that we can actually do ourselves. And we're just one business. Can you imagine all the media businesses who are now practically mainly all digital and how many layers they can add? So it gives you guys as marketeers a real opportunity to explore and indulge, and it maybe gives you an opportunity to drive deeper, have deeper relationships with media owners and understand as tech gets more important what tech can do for your brand. And that's where that's where we are today, that's where we're going. So just last, really, in searching for augmented reality examples, we found this hoax from Pepsi, going back to a Pepsi example, where they wanted to have a digital layer of actually projecting on the moon. Obviously, it was a hoax, but there was some guys somewhere around the globe trying to do it in a really low-tech way. So I'm now going to hand you over to Anthony. He's going to take you through his piece. Again, any questions, ask throughout, please. And I'm sure Anthony will want it to be very, very interactive.
I'm quite liking the
چند ثانیه دیگه ممکنه
Pepsi
پپسی
one,
بیاد و آره بیا اومد روش ما پپسی دیدیم امشب
اونا که
از بام تهران
پپسی رفت فانتا میاد
رفت دوباره اومد امیدوارم که لذت
good old Pepsi, good old YouTube. As I said, I'm head up the PR and sponsorship for Garmin. My name's Anthony Chmarny. Thanks, Jamie, for the introduction. Digital advertising beyond the web. For an advertiser...
Put it a bit closer. Might want to put the mic a bit closer.
Okay. Are we okay to hear? Can you hear me at the back? This is interaction time. Well done. Good. For an advertiser and a company that obviously sells products, digital information, digital advertising is very important to us. But so is traditional advertising. But I have a theory about traditional advertising. And throughout this conference, you are going to be told that we live in this world of digital advertising, this digital interaction. This is everywhere we go. There are still some of you that are looking at phones. There are still some of you that just can't quite get themselves away from it. You can't get enough of it. I can't get enough of my digital interaction on a day-to-day basis. And one of the things that we perhaps forget is that if it wasn't for GPS and satellite technology, then you wouldn't have any of this. You wouldn't have your location-based services. You wouldn't be able to go on Facebook and go, that's where I went on holiday. And these pictures are all geolocated to that holiday spot, and brag about it. Garmin are very much part of that world. We're part of this Facebook, this LinkedIn, the Bing, everywhere. We're part of it within the digital products that we have. We're linked with Google, local, Facebook, Twitter, just to name a few. And it's our thirst for knowledge. It's that knowledge that you want to know about how well you're doing, how far you've run, how many miles you've cycled in a day, gives you that ability. We now have that ability to do that, linking all of that with a smartphone, with an app on a smartphone. That's either Garmin's or another app. We've all got them. We all go running, and you can download the information from our watches or from our cycling computers. We can get it on Facebook, and we can start bragging about it. You can say to yourself, I've just cycled 100 miles, I'm still standing, and I can now tell my friends. I've just been to a restaurant. How many pictures of food do you find on Facebook? It is probably the best adverts for restaurants out, or the worst. It's a brilliant opportunity for all of those people if you do a good job. We do it all the time. But I think, in my opinion, we've really only just scratched the surface of what we can do. Geolocation, GPS, GPS advertising-based systems are going to go so much further. And you need to think about how you get involved in that. In America, we use advertising with our free traffic. We don't do that in the UK. We just give you free traffic. But in America, we put advertising with it. How many people know how much time we spend socially looking at a screen? Any idea? Go on, have a guess. Don't be shy. It's only me. Any idea? 3 hours? Any raise on 3 hours? 6 hours? Any less than 6 hours? Just on the social side, we spend 4.4 hours looking at screens. 90% of our media interaction is all screen-based. And unfortunately, radio, newspapers, and magazines is around about 10% now. 90%. And 4.4 hours. 4.4 hours on top of sitting in front of the computer for 8 hours all day. Over half our time is sat looking at screens. Which leads me to say, and this is a very important part, you can now turn round to your mother and you can say, Mother, I don't have square eyes. I can watch as much telly as I want. Honestly, you can say it now. But what I do have is I have that ability to choose from hundreds of channels. I have the ability to flick through thousands upon thousands of pages on the web. I now have the ability to control my viewing. I have the power. We all have the power to do what we want to do now. And I think that's an important aspect, because I like controlling my viewing, because I don't like adverts. I hate them. I really hate adverts. If I am watching a program, I do not want to see an advert. So I'd like to personally thank Dupe, the fragrance for men, for not only telling me that it's okay to wear pink, but for giving me and getting me to the start place of my favorite program, which is The Walking Dead. That probably says a little bit about me. But I don't know, adverts between Walking Dead? No idea. But I do know Dupe. So well done. Let's give them a round of applause for sponsoring that program, even if you hate it. All right. Thank you. But it got me there. It got me there easily. And it was thanks to Sky or set-top boxes. There are many other providers of satellite televisions and other things out there, which if you think about that, it's really great. And there's another thing that came to my mind, is that in The Walking Dead, another great way of getting in front of people without them quite realizing it, is Hyundai have the iX35. It is the only car that I know that stays so clean in a post-apocalyptic world, try saying that, full of zombies. There's some great car washes out there with some zombies doing it, but well done. But Sky, well done to Sky as well. Which really leads me on to why we chose Amscreen. And I think I'm giving, obviously, Amscreen a bit of a plug here, but there is a real reason for that. When you have the chance to take control back, then that's what you have with Amscreen. When you go onto a petrol forecourt, when you stand there and you're in a queue, and we've all done it, and you go, I don't want to look at the next person. No. Oh, I do not want to look at that person. Oh, there's a screen. I can look at a screen. Where's the fast forward? Oh, I haven't got the fast forward. I look at a screen. We do not. Human nature says, I am not going to talk to the person in front of me or behind me. But what I will do is I will either look at the chocolate bars or I will look at the screen. And I go for a combination of chocolate bars and screens. You know that the fact is that if that person starts to talk to you, you go, all right, who's this weirdo? Get away from me. No, I do not want to talk to you. No, screen. I'm just paying for my petrol. That's all I want to do. And if you're the one that's talking to people, that's what they're thinking of you. I'm sorry to say, that's it. So why Amscreen for Garmin? It's a natural fit for our products. Satellite navigation system, sat-navs in your car, 50% of our business still. And I know it's changing. You know, the smartphone people are coming in. That's why we went to the smartphone people and said, let's do some apps. A lot of that was there, but it is still an important part of our product. And because of where they're located, it's a great opportunity for us to say, this is our sat-nav. We'll show you a few examples of that in a minute. Related traffic sponsorship. We actually sponsor the traffic on these screens. You go into a garage, you're in your car, you want to know where you're going is pretty traffic-free. So a good public service information system. And good to link us back with traffic. The locations are geocontrollability of those locations are very important to us. We can go, right, I'm going to sell a product in this area, and I can advertise on that screen just in that area. 20 miles down the road, I can advertise something different. Try doing that on television or on radio. It gives us that ability to have diversity of messaging. I can put a message in a health center that talks about the products that we have, that talks about how you can get fit after the Christmas break, or how you can tone up for your summer holidays. And they can sit there in a health center where actually you probably need to get fit. I can talk about some of the retailer promotions that we have. That diversity of messaging is really important for us, and we have that ability to do it. So not only geolocate those messages, we can swap and change them at the drop of a hat. We have a mix of static and videos. We don't become part of the wallpaper. If most of us go into probably the same garage every day if we're driving. You don't want to become part of the wallpaper. We don't. We can change those messagings around. We can change those images around. The dwell time and audience figures are great. The audience figures are really big. But the dwell time, on average, Jamie, what's the dwell time on these things?
I would say about 110 seconds exactly.
It's about 110 seconds exactly. That's a good exact guess. We've obviously done audience research on this, And the fact is, the audience research at the beginning wasn't that great. We adjusted. We then changed it round. We pushed Amscreen a little harder. And we now have a good recall rate for all of the advertising and especially the traffic sponsorship. So that's a cool thing, and we're very happy with that. Now, the cost effectiveness of this, it's a lot cheaper than television. And I get my contract for 12 months. I don't do it for a week. I do mine for 12 months. So we negotiate some fantastic rates with these guys, which you would never, ever get unless you're really nice to them. But the great thing is that they're opportunities to see. Every 2 weeks, you have about 44 million opportunities to see your ads. That ain't bad going. And again, I can do that different one up north. I can do a different one up south. I can do some stuff around London. And they can all be different messages. I just make sure that they're kept working and working hard. We've actually seen a growth in our market and a growth in sales with certain retailer promotions linked to stores that are close to the screens. 20% off a sat-nav. Go down the local Halfords or Dixon's or wherever you want to go. And we've seen a relation in sales to the screens, which is one of the targets that we obviously wanted to get to. And as Jamie said, these things are their future technical ability is going to be fantastic. Facial recognition, gender recognition. So we could have an advert for a man. We could have an advert for a woman. And they could swap and change as and when you come up to the counter or come close to the counter. That really excites us. And this is just one area where it's going to take us. So let's have a quick look at how we've used the screens so far. Now, hopefully, if this works, because we did have a few problems just now. This is the automotive advert that we had promoting the free lifetime mapping updates. So buy a sat-nav, never have to worry about paying for map updates again, you get them for free. It was very quick, it's very simple, and it's pretty easy. On the cycling side, cycling is one of the biggest growing sports in the country today. Lycra is back, and it's staying, and it's going to stay here with a vengeance. But again, one of the ads that we've used. The other great thing about these ads and the screens is that they are HD quality. So you can have a fantastic looking ad. It's not showing too well up here, but as you come in and see the screens, you can create some fantastic imagery around the screens itself. And chop and change them, you keep them fresh. Our Christmas campaign, I think you may have seen this a little bit earlier, for our golf products. Now, that was part of a Christmas campaign. We didn't obviously just use Amscreen there. We did use other strategies such as shopping centres, social media activities, online advertising and radio promotions. The PR side was obviously trying to get into the gift guides and on radio. Now, hopefully, if this one comes up, I will leave you with a nice little jingle, if it works.
Christmas shopping hell, I want to yell, building up a sweat, what can I get? Brother likes his bike, sister loves the hike, mum's into driving, dad goes motorbiking. Some place go for lot, daughter sells a yacht, what can I do? I need a clue. Give a Garmin, give a Garmin. Garmin's got it all for anyone at all.
For a big thank you this Christmas and throughout the year, visit giveagarmin.co.uk. Opening the box is just the beginning.
Now, that was one of the ones, the digital advertising we had at a shopping centre. And that went along with the more traditional lift covers. The actual ad itself played in a screen there. Hopefully you will have that music in your ears for the rest of the day, and you'll probably hate me for it, but hey, that's advertising. The other thing that we briefly mentioned as well was we are looking at the more social interaction. BlackBerry's doing it on the screens already. We're not quite sure how we're going to do that at the moment. We've got to talk to Amscreens. We will probably concentrate in the health centres where there is even more dwell time and people, again, sit on their phones not wanting to talk to people because they're ill. Finally, what I thought I would do is give you an example of where we will be going over the next 6 months. Has everyone heard of the Prudential Ride London? It's the very first legacy event of the Olympics. In essence, they will be closing London's roads for 2 days. We're a proud sponsor. We are the sponsors that will be providing the timing and the GPS activities for the road race and event. Right across the screens, we're going to be using geolocated screens to warn people of traffic and road closures, to warn people of when the race is going to start. So if you look at the actual route, all around there, all of the screens that we have there, we will be using to pre-warn people that those roads will be closed. And I think what's great about it is that we can also have this public surface information system. I've mocked up a couple here, but we'll tell people when the roads are clear, we'll tell people when the roads are closed. And what it will do is it will give better information. It will link Garmin in with all that traffic information. It will show the quality of the traffic information, and for us that helps sell sat-navs. What it does is it gives us a return on the investment that we put in to the screens. It also supports the sponsorship that we've got with Ride London. All in all, with these screens, we believe, and I think we're proving, that we're increasing the bottom line. And that's all we want to do as advertisers. In the end, is sell products. In the end, is give good information to people. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Anthony.